Richmond South Centre.
Thank you so much, Chair, for allowing me to have the opportunity to speak. I do want to correct one flaw. I guess I shouldn't use the term correct, but I want to add a supplement to the previous speaker's comment about December being the busiest month for restaurants, just to let him know that in Chinese culture and a lot of Asian culture, February is also one of the busiest months for restaurants. Just food for thought. Today, I'm just grateful to be the stand-up talk about a limit on food cap making it permanent. My family and I, especially my wife, because we now have 2 under 2, often cooking isn't often an option. And one thing we have noticed that when we go through Uber, Fantuan, or Skip a Dish, when we order food, some of the restaurants do actually start reducing the size, which I understand, and try to compensate some of the expenses. But we also need to now look at different families when they're dealing with their deliveries, when they are not able to actually be able to cook a meal for the family, when the family has been challenged, or professional family are trying to take care of the family itself. We want to make sure there's a fair playing field for our delivery companies. When we're talking about food deliveries, I think we also have to realize, like those big major companies, they don't really locate in Vancouver. They don't locate in British Columbia. They are big international corporations. They often draw the financial success into the respectful jurisdiction. But I think one of the benefits behind this 20% permanent fee cap is to help our restaurant sector here in our local community to thrive. I think one of the key factors that has been pointed out by our minister in his bill is that only companies which serve 500 restaurants or more are subjected to this bill. Smaller companies, small delivery companies, maybe even localized delivery companies, may be able to get away from this requirement. But I do want to say, when the pandemic hit in 2020, a lot of our restaurant friends struggled. There's absolutely no doubt that food delivery was a lifeline that was thrown to them. But we also saw, at a moment of desperation, as many of our colleagues mentioned earlier, we are seeking cooperation. We're still seeing some of our businesses raise their delivery rate up to 30%. And we're talking about restaurants that already have to pay overhead, they have to pay staff. They're doing their best, doing what is right by keeping staff working in the restaurant, cooking, preparing delivery meals, and still sending them out. And some of them often actually function under deficit. But at 30% plus sometimes can be the, sorry, I can't remember the analogy, but it can be the what's called the weight behind the back of a camel that actually breaks the camel. We're talking about restaurant struggles under the weight of COVID. We don't want any additional burden. But, sorry, I apologize. Sorry, I'm going to correct my speech. And another thing that we do want to also emphasize is that we also demonstrated, COVID-19 also demonstrated that there is a potential growth of delivery services. We're looking at the gig sector. Then we have talking about drivers, we're seeing them delivering food, giving people rides, and sometimes even delivering groceries. I know TNT and many supermarkets got participate in grocery delivery as well. And we're looking at different people actually delivering purchases from products. Of course, we see different kind of companies thriving in a post-COVID, I guess I shouldn't say post-COVID. We're still in COVID, but post-recovery time frame. We're all trying to find our best to survive in this economy. I think it's great when different sectors, different industries working together, complement one another to strengthen our economic success. But we have to make sure it's done in a way that complements one another. Then I think this fee cap, again, going back to square one, 20%, where all the sectors demonstrate to be a reasonable limit to set. It allows the delivery company to continue to thrive, but also allow our local businesses, local restaurants, small owners who are owned by our British Columbians to continue to be able to deliver services, deliver food product, deliver cuisines to our British Columbians. And I'm going to go back to square one. I often, me and my wife, we often like to order our meal at night when my wife spends the whole day looking after the kids, and sometimes when I come back home exhausted, or for whatever reason, like, to be honest, I don't think my wife wants to trust my cooking, but that's a completely different point. Be able to say, we want to be able to come back and really find ways to have a lovely meal together. We often reach out to delivery apps. We're looking at, again, Uber. We're talking about what's it called, 饭团. We're talking about skip the dishes. But I think one of the key factors I brought to many times in the past is we do notice the portion is getting smaller and smaller. And sometimes we have ordered extra portion just to balance it. And as my previous colleague spoke very clearly, British Columbia are dealing with a lot of challenge in affordability. And I think restaurants also want to build up their credibility. They also want to maintain a strong, healthy business and maintain strong trust between customer and restaurants. So by allowing the fee cap to be maintained and not be able to grow unnecessarily, it allows restaurants to find a balance when it comes to food deliveries and in-restaurant food products, to allow we continuously serve our British Columbian, serve our families, and still allowing families to be able to say, you know what, I can't afford dining out today. Maybe I can even afford a little delivery in today as well. I also want to emphasize the simple fact that going out, I'm pretty sure many British Columbians who are watching this right now with families understand, once we have kids, once you have young kids, going out is almost like an operation. Everything is triple or quadruple the time frames required. And exhausted mom and dads and all grandparents at the same time, sometimes we just really want to enjoy warm meals together. And that by limiting this delivery cap, the option continuously become available. It allows us to realize that it is something we can do to share our joy and to share our, my brain skip a beat, to share our happiness and to share our appreciation of the services provided by our restaurant sector. And I think another thing too often is when her parents, or family, cousin, uncle, aunts coming together to help us looking after the kids, helping us looking after the family. We also want to say thank you to them. We would like to have a big family dinner and a food delivery fee. If you think about a $200 food delivery fee, that's for, $200 worth of products for all family to share. That's $40 for 20% of that. If you're talking about 30% plus, that's $60 to $70. You'll make a lot of families think twice before they're willing to offer the opportunity to express their gratitude to their family, to their friends over a meal. So today, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to our minister to bring us such a powerful bill. It is a bill, it sounds like it's much appreciated by both sides of the aisle, and it's a bill that is much appreciated by our small business sector, and most of all, as British Columbia is recovering from economic challenges from COVID-19, let's keep our economy in BC. Let's focus on thriving our growing and allowing the prosperity of our local restaurants and local businesses. And let's cap, again, compliments to that strategy. So I cannot say much more except I'm just very grateful that our minister came up with a strategy to keep British Columbia moving forward and allow all British Columbians prosper together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.